Spirit 105.3, I'm Erica. Boy, have I been looking forward to this. Brian Dickinson is here. He wrote a book called Blind Descent, Surviving Alone and Blind. What? On Mount Everest. I am fascinated by your story. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
And you're from Snoqualmie.
I am.
That is so cool. I love knowing that. A local. So I have to start out with this question because I've always been fascinated by people who make this decision. Why did you want to summit Mount Everest?
So I think I'm just wired. God wired me a certain way, but I grew up in Southern Oregon in the mountains. From there, joined the military as in special ops as an aviation rescue swimmer in the Navy. So a couple tours in the Persian Gulf and got back and just kind of had an adventure gap and came up to this area, and there's a lot of mountains. So I decided not only just to climb Everest, I was climbing the highest peaks on the 7 continents.
Yeah. Now, when you told the people who love you about this idea, what was their reaction like?
Well, and it's awesome. So my wife is a Christian counselor out here at Church on the Ridge, and she respects who I am and vice versa. I mean, we know God wired everyone uniquely, and yeah, I'm very present when I'm at home. And she knew me when I was jumping out of helicopters in the middle of the ocean, doing that type of lifestyle. So, it's just very respectful, but also, I don't want to make it about me. It's about us. So I was, I tried to include the family as much as I could, bring them to different parts of the world, and we'd visit orphanages and different things.
Oh, that's a really interesting answer. I wasn't expecting that, and I love it. So what was it like, and what happened to you up there? Because I know it was a lot.
Yeah, so I was independent, so I wasn't part of a big group. So I was by myself most of the time, and it's a 2-month expedition. I'm one of 2 people in the Himalayan database to have ever truly soloed, had the summit to myself.
Wow.
I didn't intend to do that. My Sherpa friend ended up getting sick. We had a conversation at 28,000 feet, so up there in the death zone. He was going to wait, ended up going down to high camp, and I continued up and made it to the top, took the highest selfie and enjoyed the moment. It's a lot to process to be up there, and to be up there alone. It's insane, but just amazing. But then that's when everything went kind of crazy. As I was heading down, everything went completely white, and I went snowblind.
What does that mean when you go snowblind?
So that's the sunburning of the cornea of the eyes. And because Everest is at 29,000 feet, you're up there in the death zone. There's only a third of the air, a third of the ozone. I have blue eyes, so more susceptible. But I had cracked my goggles the day prior, and things were lining up. And as soon as that sun banks off the ice, it fried my cornea. And typically with snow blindness, it's bright white. You can't see anything. It usually comes back in 24 hours. And I didn't regain my eyesight for about a month and a half.
Wow. It had to be terrifying to lose your sight.
Yeah, especially when you're not normally blind. You're forced to use your other senses, but honestly, I was trying so hard to use my eyes. There's fixed lines, so there's ropes I'm attached to, so I'm making my way down. But I ran out of oxygen but the entire time, never panicked. My job in the military was to never panic. Panic kills. That was our whole job. So a lot of that played back, but also I never felt alone. I just felt this peaceful presence with me the entire journey.
Wow.
I took some major falls, ran out of oxygen, which typically means game over, up there. And, just truly, truly witnessed a miracle.
Okay, when you talk about that feeling of peace, I know some people have never experienced that before. I've walked with God through some really scary things, have never summited Mount Everest, but I can imagine how desperately you needed him, Brian, in those moments. So how did that peace feel? If you could describe it to someone who's never experienced it.
So to me, it was, if you're in a room, so Erica, if you and I are in the same room and we both don't say a thing, we close our eyes, we still feel each other. We know we're there. It's just it's a tangible, I'd never, ever experienced anything like this myself. And while I was up there, I was in full-on survival mode, so I wasn't thinking about it, but it was always there.
Wow.
Just alongside. And I truly believe, Jesus walking alongside me is keep trying to do it on your own, dummy. you're going to reach out to me at some point. And eventually that's what happened.
Unbelievable. And you were listening to some Christian music up there in these scary moments. Is that right?
Yeah, not during the descent, but during my 2-month expedition for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Was there a song that like really inspired you during that time?
so Mercy Me is All of Creation had come out right then. And yeah, I had some moments where it was just me and God and Mercy Me. But it was interesting because when I got back, I actually was flown out to meet Scott Brickle, their manager, who then heard my story and connected me with my literary agent and people that wanted to make a movie and all that stuff. And then like a few months later, Mercy Me was out here and he called me up and he's like, come on backstage. So I'm back there telling my story of survival and how their music, I mean, it was just one of those crazy moments. They're just kind of floored. Next thing they're on stage and, we're front row, just rocking on.
Okay, Brian, that is fantastic. I believe that God has a purpose and a plan for every millisecond of our lives. You survived for a reason. So how has this experience changed your life?
Oh, it's been really, honestly, it's been really tough because I don't know, I've noticed that people really love a survival story, but they don't care so much about the survivor. You don't really think about that. And the survivor is going through a lot. It's like in my case, survivor's guilt. It unlocked a lot of trauma, PTSD from childhood and specifically the military. So it took a long time for me, and I'm still, it's a process, but just being healthy I survived for a reason. There's 300-400 bodies on the mountain, and, why am I alive and they're not? But I know with my book and potential movie, and just the ability to speak as a keynote speaker, to share my story, I get it. I understand why God kept me here, but it's not easy.
When you made that decision to go on without your Sherpa, what was going through your head? Because I think, like, for me, that would probably have been like, okay, I'm putting a fork in this now, I'm done.
Yeah, for sure. And I talk about that often because we live and die by the decisions we make, specifically in the military and in the mountains. But you make those decisions based on the information you have at that time, and it's usually within a 3-foot range, like your arm length. And in that moment, I actually had planned to go back down with Pasong, a Sherpa friend. He assured me he was going to wait right there, and he encouraged me to continue up. So it wasn't like an easy discussion, but we both came to that conclusion based on the information we had. If I'd have known I was going to go snowblind and be in survival mode, of course I would not have went, but I could have never predicted that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like you can text your wife or your best friend in those moments, right, for advice.
Right. Well, yeah, their advice, because if you're not there, you really don't know. So that's why there's a lot of armchair critics out there. No matter what's happening in the world, everyone's brave behind a keyboard. But my rule is if I'm not there, I can't comment because I have been there.
That's wise. Okay, so you had a few precious moments before you went snowblind. What were you seeing? What was going through your mind and heart at the top of Mount Everest?
Yeah, it's a lot to process. Like to process those major accomplishments. I don't care if it's Everest or college or whatever you're going through. A lot of times we feel that pressure to like enjoy this moment, but there's just so much that's just circulating through your head. And in the death zone, there's such a lack of air. Everything's just in slow motion. So I almost felt like I was trying to force that moment, taking pictures so I could, capture it. But I was also alone, very, very unique to be alone up there.
Yeah. So
I made that radio call down just so I could connect with other humans and kind of share that experience. But it was a lot. It was emotional. I mean, I just wanted to get back to my family at that point. And yeah, little did I know, a few minutes later, it was full on survival mode.
Unbelievable. I mean, such an incredible story. I was thinking about how every single one of us, Brian, we're going to enter the death zone of life, right? And so we actually don't have to be afraid because of what we believe. And I'm wondering how this experience impacted your faith.
Yeah. And I was a Christian before. I've been a member of the church for some time. My experience growing up with faith it it was there, but it wasn't a positive, but
Yeah.
my wife and I, we've always been tried to be Christ-centered, not so much focus on ourselves, but focus on that common goal of, seeing Jesus someday. But I'd never had such a tangible experience in my life, and that solidified like any doubt. And it's easy as we go through life to then, with the world, kind of gets in here and tries to throw us off balance. So I always have that place to go back to. But I think that tangible experience, and honestly, I probably have had experiences, nothing to this extent, but I didn't give Jesus credit. I took credit. And I believe my whole story is about, get out of your own way, quit trying to do it on your own, and trust in him.
Wow, I am just soaking up those words. I need them myself for things in my life, right? Like we're always trying to wrest something back. And then it's like, God is so patient. I'll take that back now. So
Right?
I'm wondering, Brian, like, is there another adventure in your future? I don't know what's bigger than Mount Everest.
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, that's the thing, and I think that's a challenge for most humans. Is we label ourselves, we're identified, we have this purpose based on humanly things, these goals and everything else. So it can be very dangerous, and that's why people have struggle retiring. That's why veterans get out, and there's depression, and I've had all of those things. And it's a process of, me being in my 50s and still thinking I'm in my 30s. That's super dangerous because my body's broken on all levels, from military to climbing.
Yeah.
But I've been very blessed to be on stage and be, sought after, keynote speaker and best-selling author. And there's interest in making Blind Descent into a movie. So I'm talking to some great individuals there. So we'll know more this year. But yeah, it's adventure. There's, I still get out and I do outdoor adventure, but I'm very family focused and, just living just blessed one day at a time.
Good for you. I think about heaven a lot. It's one of my favorite things to think about. And I feel like we have no idea what God has in store for us. The Bible actually says that eye has not seen, ear has not heard what God has prepared for those who love him. Wow. But I do believe there are so many adventures that await us there because God made us. He knows what makes our hearts tick. And that gives me a tremendous amount of joy.
Same. Yeah, exactly. And can't even imagine like what that is like. Like it's what we have here, we're living our life to our fullest here. And this is nothing compared to there. Like I'm excited. Like I want to live out my days here, but yeah. Take me anytime, too, because I'm ready.
Right. And I think we've just hit on it. Heaven is bigger than Mount Everest. It's going to be bigger.
Way bigger. Yep.
So awesome. I want to say thank you to you, Brian Dickinson, author of the book Blind Descent, for being with us. And I hope you'll come back one day. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Erica.